Welcome to another story made by Oracle 1. In the heart of a kingdom besieged by an unyielding drought, the land cracked and the rivers thinned to lifeless ribbons. A phenomenon unseen for centuries began to whisper through the scorched valleys and dusty plains. For generations, the lake known as the Mirror of Sereth had been a placid pool of crystal depths, nestled like a jewel in the midst of rolling emerald hills. The village of Eldwin lay peacefully on its shores, flourishing under its bounteous gift. But when the rains failed, the Mirror of Sereth withered to a desiccated basin, revealing truths long submerged beneath its placid surface. It was said that beneath the waters of the mirror rested an ancient cathedral, a grand structure of spires and arches that once stood as a testament to unwavering faith and mysterious pacts. Built in a forgotten age by the Order of the Silver Chalice, the cathedral had been swallowed by the lake in a catastrophe veiled by time. A cataclysm that only whispers in old tales dared to mention. To the villagers, it was a ruin no longer more than a legend, regarded with a mingling of awe and superstition. The drought's relentless grip had bled the lake dry, exposing the cathedral's crumbling facade to the blistering sun for the first time in upwards of 500 years. As the cracked earth around it whispered in the dry wind, the silhouette of stepped domes, arched windows like frozen music, and a towering bell spire began to emerge, a haunting reminder of what had been lost, and what was about to be reclaimed. Elda, an earnest young woman of Eldwin, was the first to reach the cathedral's weather-worn steps the morning the waters fully withdrew. She had known the stories from her grandmother's lips, recollections spoken with reverence and dread. The cathedral, it was said, housed spirits caught between realms, bound by rites unfinished and sacraments undone. But Elda was a seeker of truth, her heart tethered to hope rather than fear. Against the caution thrumming in the rest of the village, she pressed on. As she ascended the worn steps, the air grew heavy with a silence so profound it seemed to swallow sound itself. Ivy, thick and ancient, writhed like verdant serpents around the stone columns, and cracked glass in the stained windows caught the first rays of the sun, scattering colors like fractured rainbows onto the dust-ridden floor. The nave stretched vast and empty, but upon the altar lay relics momentarily untouched by decay, a chalice shimmering with ethereal light and a bound tome inscribed with the Silver Chalice Order's cryptic script. Then, something changed. A soft, singing choir floated through the heavy stillness, an echo of voices that had not been heard for half a millennium. From the shadowed naves emerged figures, faint and shimmering, ghostly priests clad in robes of silvery blue embroidered with luminescent threads. Their faces, serene yet sorrowful, bore the marks of centuries, eyes closed in eternal prayer. They moved with solemn grace, arranging themselves around the altar, lifting their hands toward the broken windows where light filtered in a spectral dance. The villagers gathered uneasily at the edges of the rising cathedral, watching as the ghosts began their ancient mass. Elda stepped closer, transfixed by the ceremony unfolding. The air pulsed with a strange vitality, part lament, part blessing, as the ghostly priests intoned prayers in a language lost to the living. Although their voices were faint like the rustle of silk, the power they contained stirred something deep inside the gathered crowd. It was then that the drought struck a strange new chord. As the ghosts wove their sacred ritual, the ground beneath the cathedral whispered again. Moisture gathering beneath cracked soil like breath returned from the abyss. Tiny green shoots dared to rise from the barren earth, and a faint mist began to coalesce above the hollowed lake bed. Elda understood then that the Mass was not just a remnant of a forgotten past but a ritual of restoration, meant to call forth life from barrenness. Her heart thundered as she realized the Order's ancient pact with unseen forces beneath the earth, a bargain of balance and reverence for natural cycles, now rekindling through spectral hands. The village elders, though steeped in superstition, were stirred by the signs. They approached with hesitant steps, bringing offerings as once their ancestors had done, wildflowers, bread, and water drawn from distant, sacred springs. As the offerings touched the altar, the ghostly congregation seemed to brighten, their forms gaining clarity and warmth as if fed by the renewed faith. Night fell around the cathedral, its spires glowing dimly under the crescent moon like beacons of otherworldly grace. The spectral mass continued, the chants rising and falling with the rhythm of an ancient tide. The lake bed began to shimmer, waves of silver mist spreading across the cracked earth, carrying with them the scent of wet stone and fresh rain. By dawn, the impossible had come true. Water, pure and clear, began to seep back into the hollow basin, pooling and swelling until the entire expanse reflected the sky once more. The mirror of Sereth had been reborn, fed by unseen springs and the sacred ceremony performed by souls long past. But the rising was only the beginning. The villagers learned that the ghosts were not mere shadows but guardians of a fragile covenant. The drought had threatened to unravel the balance between mortal and spirit realms, and the Mass was their sacred duty, to awaken when needed and to imbue the land with life-giving sustenance. Each day as the cathedral emerged from the waters a little more, the ghostly congregation grew in number and strength. They offered blessings upon the crops, shepherded the souls of the living with whispered counsel, and taught the villagers forgotten rites to honor the cycle of seasons and weather. Elda, chosen by the spirits for her curious heart and steady resolve, became a bridge between worlds. The spectral priests taught her the ancient tongue, the sacred melodies, and the timeless wisdom of the silver chalice. She learned of the great flood centuries past, a punishment, and a cleansing, for the arrogance of mortals who had abused the land's gifts. Through her eyes, the village was transformed from a place on the brink of despair to a sanctuary of renewal and harmony. Under her guidance, they rebuilt an altar on the shore of the renewed lake, where day and night, offerings were made and prayers lifted. The Mass beneath the lake had ceased for now, but the cathedral's presence beneath the water remained a reminder of the enduring bond between this life and the next. Yet, peace was not without its price. The ghost's presence was tied inexorably to the balance of nature and faith. It was whispered that should greed or neglect rise again, the cathedral would sink once more, and the spirits would depart, leaving the land to face the drought without respite. This knowledge tempered the hearts of the villagers, binding them to their ancient duties and respect for the unseen forces that governed their fate. In time, pilgrims journeyed from distant lands, attracted by the legend of the cathedral reborn. They came seeking the blessings of the spectral Mass, whispering prayers in the sacred chapel now visible beneath the lake's surface, peering into the depths where stones and spirits lay intertwined. Stories grew, told by firelight under star-SGLED evenings, that the ghosts sang not only of old faith but of hope, resilience, and the unending cycle of death and rebirth. They were guardians of balance, emissaries of an ancient world that refused to be forgotten. Elda, now elder and keeper of these collective memories, would often stand at the water's edge at dusk, watching the cathedral shimmer beneath the waves. Her heart swelled with wonder and humility, knowing that beneath the glassy surface, the Mass echoed forever, a testament to the enduring power of faith and the mysteries cradled beneath the sacred lake. For more stories, like and subscribe.